What is the single biggest dick move in all of history? The original white elephant gifting from the King of Siam. This person would give this royal gift to people he found irritating and be entertained by the recipient's failing efforts to upkeep such an animal. Why don't they just give it away, you ask? Back in the day, receiving a gift and giving it away was perceived as an insult. Go figure. And giving away a gift from a neighboring kingdom is, well, that much bigger of an insult. So no dice. Economies apparently have failed in order to upkeep a royal gift like this. Honestly, dick move King of Siam. Edit. I'm seeing some comments about giving away the elephant, killing it, or letting it die, so I'm going to clarify something. If you are given a gift, out of respect you take care of that gift, because failing to do so would be taken as an insult from the gifting party. The King of Siam knew this and, for his pleasure, gave his opposing neighbors this annoyance of an animal, an ultimatum. Either fulfill the upkeep of this economy-sucking, worthless elephant, or I come invade your kingdom and slaughter you and your people. Being as powerful as he seemed to be, he probably sent delegations to these provinces to ensure the elephant was still around for years to come. LPT, keep that elephant alive. For those who don't know, a white elephant is rare and sacred. They were never used for work or war and were just comfortably maintained for their lifetimes at huge expense. And they couldn't tolerate the sun either. Requires constant luxury and won't be made to go outside. Strong contender for my spirit animal right here. F. King brilliant from a political standpoint. Using the cultural etiquette as a weapon against your enemies. English kings would just come to visit nobles they didn't like and bring a big enough retinue that the noble would go broke feeding his honored guests. So the story goes that there's this people in southern Iraq whose agriculture, economy and way of living were built around them living within the swamps. They were not very fond of Saddam Hussein and his regime and did a protest march towards Baghdad. So meanwhile they moved towards the capital, Saddam took some excavators and drained the whole swamp. Problem solved. This is why I am always kind of wary when I see dictators/autocrats and the likes depicted in the media as dumb or whatnot, because you simply just don't rise to those levels of absolute power without being a sneaky backstabbing bastard. Are they pos garbage? Yes, but they are also way smarter than it looks from the outside, and they know exactly what they are doing, and we should not underestimate them in any way. Edit. Wow. So this is how it feels when people actually read your comments and you get to have their intelligent opinion. Thanks you to everyone who responded, and I tried to address every point. I just want to add that I am in no way an expert in this, so it's just my opinion, which could be uninformed. I guess what I was trying to say is I am legit worried about some states, especially the CCP, and now I am officially on one of their lists, Lamau, and it bugs me when I see them taken lightly or when literally nobody from the international community react when they pull some outrageous crap. I don't think anyone ever thought Saddam was stupid. He was just a vagina. Thomas Midgley invented Freon and putting lead into gasoline. He knew that putting lead into gasoline was a dick move, and he did it anyway for money. He knew because he got lead poisoning himself and still lied about its effects on people. Environmental historians have said that he has had the single largest impact on the Earth's atmosphere of any single organism in the history of the planet. Not to mention that lead levels directly correspond to lower cognitive abilities in the general population, and you can look up the dates to know who would have been affected. This also has to be a story of poetic justice. He had also invented a system of levers and pulleys to help him move around in bed after he became bedridden and his own invention strangled him in his sleep. The world, oh no. Anyway. The guy was the master of inventing things that harm you when they're not supposed to. Why did he put the lead in the gasoline, though? As an anti-knock additive, an octane rating enhancer. He knew that ethanol worked just as well, but you can't patent ethanol. The main use of lead in older engines is to make the valve seats last longer. Valve seats in older engines use same material as the cylinder head/block. The lead acts as a cushion/lubricant. Ethanol does not do this. When you put unleaded fuel in old engines, the valve seats recess over time. Newer engines use hardened inserts for the valve seats. Not just that, ethanol is hygroscopic, absorbs moisture, which can cause rust in uncoated older fuel tanks, since once it absorbs moisture it can separate more readily, and in older engines not designed for it can damage hoses and such. That said, use E5/E10 if your engine was designed for it because it was designed for it. Should be a sticker on your tank cap / somewhere to say what it can take. My bike says E5/E10 for example. Also, fun fact, in the UK at least E5 means max 5%, ethanol not as 5%, ethanol. Many lower octane petrol only have 1% ethanol but are labeled E5. Higher octane fuels typically have more ethanol because ethanol is 120 octane, so can be an octane booster. And high octane fuel doesn't have more energy, it's to do with compression. Apparently the crime wave of the 70s-80s corresponds exactly to environmental lead. People exposed as children had greater odds of learning and behavioral problems that made them less likely to hold steady jobs and more likely to resort to crimes. Amazing detective story. It started with a scientist who discovered radioactive dating, but found that all his samples were somehow contaminated with lead. Featured in a Cosmos episode as well a few years back. When the Mexican government rounded up thousands of Yaqui natives, made them walk over 300 kilometers to the coast, put them on boats, and sold them as slaves for about 25 cents. Most ended up on plantations in Veracruz where they were worked to death. Slavery was already illegal in Mexico at the time. When was this? Early 1900s. Before 1965, Indonesian government sent academicians, especially STEM graduates, to study in Eastern Europe. After the supposed communist uprising in 30th of September 1965, the government revoked their citizenship and declared them stateless. They risk persecution and possible torture and murder if they insist on returning. These nuclear physicist, master engineer, and PhD graduates take menial jobs, becoming janitors and wait tables to carry on living with virtually no possibility of return to their country. P.S. I'm adding some reading to anyone who are interested. Edit, grammar reading material, web link. Wait, the Indonesian government revoked their citizenship? Why? Because they graduated from Eastern European universities. They are deemed as compromised. The Indonesian government after 65 also actively pursue communist-related elements even to the roots, like poor farmers obtaining grain aid from Communist Party and slaughtering them wholesale. It is estimated that during Indonesian communist purges 500k plus people were killed. Most of STEM and higher education in general was heavily censored and persecuted post-65 in Indonesia, like Gadjah Mada University. Can attest to that. I suggested to my history teacher that Suharto concocted the coup and shift the blame to the Communist Party. It was just too convenient that he was a general of the military reserve, all the generals were killed off, and he rose to power like that. I was booted out of class. Why couldn't they get jobs in those fields in another country? Sometimes degrees don't translate well to other countries and aren't accepted or good enough to meet standards. There's a lot of refugees who have higher degrees before war hit their region and they had to relocate elsewhere where they couldn't find a job in their field because of that reason. The best janitor I ever knew was a Nicaraguan guy at my elementary school. He was apparently an engineering professor back home and was working on his English so he could get his teaching certificate in the US. I always wondered if he ever made it happen. It's the taxi driving dentist stereotype. Definitely a real thing though. I had an Uber driver who told me he was a math major/former math teacher from Nigeria. I initially thought he just couldn't find work here because of COVID issues/degree from other country. I was flat out wrong because he told me he became a programmer and now works at Lockheed Martin, and just drives Uber to meet people. That lady who stole the unborn baby out the other lady. The psycho bitch that pretended to sell baby clothes to lure a pregnant lady in and then cut her baby out and leave her to go to the hospital, all just to cover up the ongoing lie to her family that she was pregnant and just suddenly had a miscarriage? Yeah, I live a couple streets from where that crap went down. Craziest crap I've ever had the misfortune of reading into. Dino Lane, web link. Right, unfortunately this isn't a one-off. The latest one is a longtime friend pulling this crap and both the pregnant woman and the baby died. This seems to be a particular syndrome, in depravity. There's also one in which the lady who did it is about to be the first woman executed in federal prison in something like 70 years. Web link. God, that's effing horrifying. You are going to have to be more specific, that's happened a lot over the course of history. Which one? Lisa Montgomery, I think. She is due to be federally executed. France asking Haiti for a compensation after Haiti overthrew the colonial administration. It took 143 years for Haiti to pay off that debt. Why would Haiti not just tell them to F off? Haiti, we declare independence. France, cancellation fees apply to independence after 1800. Haiti, when did this become policy? France, this became policy after 1783. Haiti, glares at 13 colonies. 13 colonies, got any slaves to sell? Imagine if they then sold slaves in order to pay off the lost slaves' debt? According to the 2014 Global Slavery Index, Haiti has an estimated 237,700 enslaved persons, making it the country with the second highest prevalence of slavery in the world, behind only Mauritania. Web link. You have become the very thing you swore to destroy. Holy crap, I knew Haiti was the only successful slave rebellion in the world, but I didn't know France did that. Haiti is now one of the poorest countries in the world. They paid around $21 billion in today's dollars as payment for the plantations that the slaves built and for compensation for the value of the slaves. France also demanded discounts on any goods that they sold. Today, France completely rejects the idea of giving any of that back. From what I understand, even worse is the fact that at the time Haiti couldn't afford to pay off the debt, so France offered Haiti a loan with a higher interest to pay off the debt owed to France. So effed up. Well, not really relevant, but when 50 Cent bought the first 4 rows of a Ja Rule concert, and he had to perform in front of 4 empty rows. Lol. Or when 50 Cent bet Floyd Mayweather to read a page of a Harry Potter book and exposed Floyd's illiteracy to everyone. Lol. Floyd's response was hilarious though. Bet 50 a large sum if 50 could give him a recent photo of 50 hugging Marquise. What happened there? With his son? 50 Cent is a huge effing piece of crap. He has publicly shamed his son and his ex-wife for God knows what. Edit. Another thing user Supervillain Eyebrows brought up that I forgot, he roasted Terry Crews for being sexually assaulted. Like the man deserves to burn in hell, he's such a prick. Reddit link. 50 also tried to get a kid fired from his job as a janitor because 50 thought he was high at work. The kid has an autism spectrum disorder. Edit. Pronoun clarity. Damn, that's sad. Floyd responded he'd pay the same sum if 50 could reply with a recent picture of his daughter hugging him. Pretty savage all around. Those mother effers evolving to suck mammal blood, and now we got to worry about mosquitoes, leeches, ticks, etc. If you didn't want parasites eating your blood, why did you keep all your nutrients in it? Silly mammals. Just inject your blood flow with rat poison, that'll show those dumb mosquitoes. Turning point mosquitoes. Dear mammals, you claim to disapprove of our way of feeding, and yet you keep us alive. Curious. The burning of the Library of Alexandria. Romans, fight a battle far enough away from a place not to burn it. Also Romans, so you know that faraway place we couldn't possibly hit on accident? Fire starts. Edit. I was making a joke after a long day, but, thank you? I guess. To the people that kind-heartedly tried teaching me something at least. Please don't fight over this, alright, peace. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.